Hey guys, welcome back to the Everadaptive Podcast. I'm your host, Beckie Flowers, along with my co-host here, Sarah Budson.
What's up, guys?
Hello. I completely forgot what I was saying when I was doing that again. Um, but how are you? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a slower day today. It's Thursday, so I had opposing client this morning, and then usually Darren comes on Thursdays. He came Tuesday this week, so I'm like all sorts of thrown off my schedule, like my routine. But we're here.
Like,
We're
what's
getting
going
things
on?
done. Yeah, so big work day, but also trying to relax. So.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, and Good Friday's tomorrow too. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm running behind.
I just feel like everything is out of whack. Like we're recording on a Thursday. Like
I know, but this
I don't
worked.
last week's episode still isn't up on YouTube. Like
I
we're
swear,
a mess, guys.
bad internet follows me. It's been So tonight is Thursday. I've been trying to upload this since Sunday night. And I like almost enlisted my 14-year-olds to upload it for me because he was trying to tell me how to do it. And I'm like, "I- just do it. I don't know." So hopefully it's Thursday now. This will release on Wednesday. Hopefully you guys have episode 40 on YouTube. Otherwise, it's on Spotify. Go enjoy. I
You
was
guys
going to
just
tell
don't have
you.
to look at us.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to, you know what? Sometimes that's better. That's fine. Um, I was listening to our episode today to make sure that all of our because my dogs were going crazy in that last recording, so I had to cut it. And I wanted to make sure that the audio sounded okay. And I was at work, distracted, put on my headphones, and you started talking. I'm like, oh, Sarah's on a podcast. Oh, fuck, that's ours. So that's how today's going. But I we wanted to talk about something that I had posted on my socials today. So again, it's Thursday. You'll hear this on Wednesday next week. But we wanted to talk about prep and just not even prep, but like life situations where you find yourself going through something and you kind of just numb out and you don't even realize it until you look back 6 months, a year later.
Yeah. Yeah. And I brought this up to you because I thought it would be a fun topic to talk about. Maybe not necessarily fun, it's not the right
No.
word, but
It'll be
a
interesting.
a good topic to talk about because it's very relatable. And I know that like it's something that, so what kind of triggered it for you, right? Like yesterday you had a coworker asking about something and it kind
So,
of like sent you down a rabbit hole of like looking at pictures from your prep last year.
yeah, exactly. The ladies at work had asked me if I eat butter because I mean, bodybuilder, we're weird. And so I always bring my food and I was eating with them and they had asked if I eat butter and I was like, "Let me tell you about my butter experience." So, if you guys weren't around for that or I didn't share it, usually with my peak weeks in the past, we had done like coconut oil to as one of our fat sources. And then it got to peak week of North Americans and my coach at the time had switched to butter as a fat source and I was very very lean and I was burning through. I think I was eating like at least 2,300 calories going into that show, and it was all rice, butter, and ground turkey. That's literally all I ate. Um, so the amount of butter that I had to eat because I would check in every single day and I would be leaner every single day. I have
It
this
was
picture.
truly like scarring.
What?
It was truly like scarring hearing about it.
It was so like it just I think I went through so it was like a chunk of butter like if you guys aren't watching come watch the video but it's like a chunk of butter like the Kerrygold butter like that chunk but it was like the organic pure butter whatever that was. I went through one and a half of those in 1 week and
Mm.
it was a lot. It was a lot. So I found a picture of me having the amount of butter that I needed to have backstage per that coach, on a rice cake. And I was so angry. Everyone else around me had like peanut butter or almond butter, and some girls were eating like Reese's, which I know like it's not ideal, and I know that I know, but at the end of the day, I just wanted a damn Reese's, so I had butter on a rice
I
cake.
I just remember like you telling me about the amounts of butter you were eating that week, and it was just so bizarre and so wild. And you're like, I just never want to fucking eat butter again.
Never. It was to the point where after that show, I didn't want a post-show treat. Like I was waiting for Sandy's feedback and girls in front of me and behind me were like eating. I'm like, just I don't want anything. Like you want to give me one M&M? I'll take one M&M, but I'm good. It was bad. So yeah, I went down that rabbit hole and then last night that turned into me looking at all the pictures of the 2023 prep and I did 3 shows. I completely forgot I did the first show. So I kind of just realized how numbed out I was all last year, even before prep, and had a lot of realizations that were cool.
Well, you
Uh,
were on like you were completely on autopilot at that point.
I was so on autopilot, just basically like get me through this, and then I'm gonna. 'Cause I had life stuff going on too. I like I've said so many times, like I shouldn't have prepped, and I ran relationships into the ground. That I mean, it wasn't even that summer because it started in January where I was like doing 2-a-days and then I went into the pre-prep prep and then I went into prep and I literally put being a mom and wife, coach, everything was on the back burner. I was an athlete. That was it. And it wasn't good.
I remember when you were doing your 2-a-days, and I was like, oh my God, like you're crazy. And because shortly after that is when you started posing with me.
Mhm.
And then this came about a little bit after that. And I think that it was I think that it was cool that this was born mid that all kind of happening. Because it did give you something else to kind of like put your energy towards that wasn't, it was still kind of like along the path of your being an athlete, but it was also a creative outlet in another way. Even though, yes, some of your relationships suffered and things like that, but it also gave you kind of another outlet and another avenue to be you in a different way too.
Mhm. That's a really good point because I think I needed it because I was just such like I'm an athlete. I am going to do this. And I think you're very much like this too. Like when you set your mind to something, like we are going to do it. And it doesn't matter what, because I have a big problem with do what you say you're going to do to a fault. So if I say that I'm going to prep, I'm going to prep. It doesn't matter if I run my body and my everything into the ground.
That was the hardest part for me pulling out.
I want you to talk about that because I don't want this to be the Becky show. Because you went through this too, I know, in what 2022, right? 2021.
2022, yeah. Was it? Gosh, I like just the years. Yeah, it was 2022 when I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was, one track minded and being an athlete because that is when the first time like the rug got pulled out from under me when I wasn't going to compete at that time. But I was more so focused on just myself and work. And I numbed out everything else and I burned bridges and neglected relationships. And even though I was on this path with complete blinders on, and it was necessary, I still could have gone about it in a different way. But like I've said time and time again on here, it's like if you ask anyone, where was I during that time frame, they'd be like, Don't know.
Yeah.
Because like I was just recluse. I was just in my house. Like I was just doing what I felt like I needed to do.
So
And
going
go ahead.
back, like when you look back at that time, what's something that you can pull from that? Because I know that you learned a lot through that. So, like, what's something that you can pull from that and be like, damn, I don't remember any of that, but I'm so thankful for X, Y, and Z.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for everything. I still like I'm still happy with the root of what I did. I just know that I could have gone about it in a different way so that maybe I didn't burn so many relationships. And because I mean, at that point, that's really when I started making realizations that like I wasn't happy in my last relationship. And it wasn't really to anyone's fault. It was just different alignments, you know? And I made a lot of those realizations at that time because I did a lot of inner work.
Mhm.
That was my silver lining through all of that is like I did that hard solo, that deep inner work, that reflection, and really truly came out of that with okay, I've been in this low, in this rut for so long and just feeling like I've done so much reflection to the point that I've like beat myself into the ground. Like, I gotta get out of here, you know, I gotta like project forward now
Yeah.
because I could only sit in that for so long with like, it was literally just like a black hole. Like, if I would have stayed in that any longer, like, man, I would have just gone into a like severe depression for sure. Um, and I just through it, it was just step by step moving forward and making the realization of like, okay, it's time to move forward. Like, I have to get myself out of this and I have to progress out of this and make the hard decisions of what I made, what realizations I made during that time. And at that time, it meant leaving the relationship I was in.
I like that you can look back and see that and one, like be thankful for it, but then also realize like, oh, if I stayed there any longer, like it wasn't going to be good. So I had to project myself forward. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's where I'm at currently, where I've looked back and I'm like, I'm so thankful that I prepped, even though I wish I hadn't. Like I can show up with gratitude for that whole time. But now it's like, okay, now we need to move forward. And it's not a, okay, what's next? It's just a, we're moving forward.
Yeah, just take a step, you know. You
Yeah.
don't have to know what direction, but sometimes that step is going to lead you down a path of enlightenment, however that looks, right? But oh crap, I was gonna say something and I have no idea what it was now.
It'll come back. It's fine.
But like going, that's what it was. Like, regardless, right? Maybe we could have carried ourselves differently, or maybe we could have handled ourselves differently throughout that time. But no matter what, everything that we went through at that time was necessary to get us to where we are now, regardless, right? Like, you can look back and be like, wow, I wish I would have done that differently, right? And maybe if you did, things would be different now. Definitely, if you did, things would be different now, right? But like, regardless, where you are now is exactly where we're meant to be,
Exactly
right?
where you're meant to be. Yes.
And if you're new here, I wasn't flipping off the camera. We both have these rings because Becky just posted this, and it.
So yeah, she got that for me when she came out to Pittsburgh and it just says exactly where I need to be.
Yep.
I don't have mine on. I think I took it off at the gym yesterday. Um but I think that's so key and I'm going to lose my train of thought as well. We are just killing it today. Um
We're doing our best
we
here.
are. We are doing our best. Um but no, it's so true what you said that like regardless of how we could have handled that, like everything happened for how it was supposed to happen and we are where we're supposed to be in this moment and now we just learn from what we've gone through and then you move forward. I feel like I struggle with social media sharing things like what I shared today because I feel like I don't want people to think that I'm stuck back there. It just was like a realization that I had. But I feel like so many people, maybe this is just me overthinking, but so many people will just either think that you're back there or they want to stay back where they were when they go through those things. And I don't even know where I was going with that. It's just,
I mean, reflecting is important because it is important to see how far you've come since then, right?
mhm.
Because literally looking back at that time for you, you were like, wow, I barely remember any of this. And now maybe you're starting to have some of the mental capacity to actually look back on that and be like, wow, yeah, like I was pretty numbed out at that time. Like, still look what I did, like you still made shit happen to the best of your capability throughout that time. And you still grew from it. You still learned something through it.
Yeah, exactly. And we built the podcast through that. We like did so much, which I would love to go back and like listen to those episodes because I feel like they are so different than where I am mentally right now. Um,
Same.
which is cool. And we get to literally, it's like a diary that we get to see our growth. So,
It's really the coolest part about all of this too. Is like when I do go back and listen to like certain episodes, which I don't very often, but like every now and then I'll just like pop up a random one, or if it's like something that like you and I talk about, I'm like, oh, what episode was that? Or whatever, like
mhm.
going back and listening. It was so different. Both of us were in such different places, but it's really cool to me that we can still listen back and gain value from things that maybe we needed to hear again.
I agree. Because some things we say, I'm like, oh, okay, I am not in that headspace anymore, but I really needed that past version of me to say that to me right now. Because I
Mhm.
don't know if you feel like that's going through gut protocol, but I feel like taking that step back, I almost have to like fight my brain to have that discipline that I've always had. Like, yes, I have the discipline, I do the things, but it's been kind of a battle in my head lately of like being that hard ass that I was in prep versus like who I know that I need to be now and like how do I merge the two?
It's a weird complex, and I don't have any issue with, and this is funny that you say this because literally in Mark's check-in feedback to me, he was like, let me know. He's like, I know that what we're doing right now is like kind of boring. He's like, let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you actually feel like a bodybuilding athlete. And it made me like kind of stop and think a little bit. And my response was like, honestly, every other facet of my life is so busy right now. This is the one facet that like it's nice to kind of be on cruise control because I'm so used to hammering myself into the ground where I'm kind of hammering myself into the ground on everything else. And this is the one thing that I have to be diligent about giving myself rest. Like, yeah, when I'm in the gym, I'm training my ass off, and everything that I do is intentful. Like my meals are completely on point. There's no wavering there or anything like that. But it's nice to just have what is such a big part of my life not be so demanding for the first time ever. And it's intentful and with purpose. And like I'm good with the monotony because it's a structure that I have to follow and it's forcing me to actually like take a chill pill for the first time in my life.
I love that. I love that you have that experience because I am like, I feel like I'm having a little bit of that experience, but then I'm also like fighting my inner demons of not wanting to go back to Beckie of like 2016 or whatever when I was, you know, just, I don't even know. Like, not that I would, but I feel like I have such a fear that I will. And I know I've talked about this on my stories before, but like, and I don't know how I got on the subject, but that literally has been like the forefront of my brain lately of like, I know that I need to chill out and I know that I'm still like trying to regulate my hormones and get my cycle back. So I need to chill out, but my brain doesn't want me to chill out.
The biggest, the biggest helping piece with me for that is it's the same advice that we give to our clients, right? Like, don't think of following a plan as an added stressor. It's like I said, like it's such a big part of our life. Still keep it that big part of our life, but know that with what we're doing, when everything is scaled back and we're training a little bit less and we're not doing cardio and crazy things like
Yeah.
that, like it's purposeful and like, dude, soak it up because literally before we know it, like, and yeah, maybe this is way down the road because we don't know, but like before we know it, we're going to be in another prep, right? And we're going to be like, damn, it was really nice to like be on cruise control for a little bit. And so that is kind of what's keeping me in a state of gratitude for this, of like enjoying the monotony and the forced rest because I've never been in this state before. It's where, I'm so used to hammering out cardio, hammering out my training, 4 or 5 days a week, where scaling back to 4 out of every 10 days is like, it's unheard of for me. But like right now, I know my body is enjoying it and like I feel good.
You look good too. Like you look like you're rested. You look like you're just glowing. So,
And I told Mark this in my last check-in this week. I was like, it's been a really long time, but like I actually feel like I look like an off-season bikini competitor. Like I haven't felt like that in a really long time. And this past week, like with my check-ins, with like everything is, yeah, it's slow, it's monotonous, it's boring, but like it's also good. And like I see the progress and I feel the progress. And like visually in my check-ins, I was like, wow, like I actually it's hard for me to be objective like that because I'm so just like, oh my God, like look at my gut, right?
mm-hmm. Like
Like,
critical.
right. And like for the first time, I'm like, I actually feel like I look like an off-season bikini competitor. And like that feels really good.
No, and you do. And when you sent me your side by side of when you started with Mark versus now, like you can visually see the changes that your body is making. So I think I needed this talk, even though it's completely off subject. Like I needed it because I need to find gratitude in this monotony as well. Um, I feel like it's almost like old me. So old Beckie used to be, give me an inch, I'm going to take a mile. So when Mark is like, well, you just started back full time. And if you need to like pull anything, so like if we're going to pull anything, like steps can go, training can go, like those are the things that we can like fudge with if those are bringing you stress. And so I'm like, no, I can't because if I don't do those things, like I'm going to take advantage of that. So that's where I'm at in my head. I'm like, I need to find a place where I can do everything and still chill the fuck out so I can get my cycle back.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, this whole brain is not helping. So I just,
You'll get there. You'll get there. I mean, you're also going through a lot, right? Like you're in the trenches, right? Like with everything you're going through and going back to work full time. Like that's a huge stressor alone, right? From you haven't been in a full-time out of home position in so freaking long. Like that's a huge life change.
No, it'll be 6 years. So I had Charlotte like the day after I left this job that I'm at, and she's gonna be 6 next Friday. So it'll be 6 years.
Crazy.
But but
But
yeah.
yeah, so it's you'll get there, and it's just take it day by day, right? Like we have to, like you said, still find you have also so many other life things going on. I feel like I can't finish a freaking sentence to save my life, but you have so much other life things going on. Like take advantage of being in this like pulled back state of like, yeah, you still have your boxes to check, but like you're not training 6 days a week. We don't have, hours of cardio a week or anything like that. Do what you got to do to maintain where you are at as an athlete, like mentally, right? Like,
Hmm.
yes, there's changes going on in our body, right? Like we're in a little bit different, you're in your holding phase and everything like that, but like we're still scaled back from what we're used to as athletes. So take advantage of that, find the gratitude in that, know that it's like I put it on my story the other day, purposeful monotony. And it's like that's just truly what it is. And I love that because, like I said, everything else is like so go, 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 go. Like I'm also going to take advantage of having to slow down in this area because it's never been that way before.
I love that purposeful monotony. Um, it's just such a good reminder. So thank you. I needed that, but hopefully that's helpful for somebody else. I know it's stuff that we like talk about with our clients all the time and we talk about with each other and just our friends in general, but sometimes you just need to remember that yourself. Like there is purpose to the mundane shit that we do every single day.
Mhm.
But
And if you're not doing mundane shit every day, then you probably need to find yourself a purpose because
yes.
there's that too.
Yeah, I had just seen something on Instagram and I reshared it, but it was like, instead of getting so stressed out about like your life's purpose, like what brings you joy in life in this moment and chase more of that. I feel like that if somebody is like struggling with purpose or like why are they doing what they're doing, no matter if it comes to their protocols or job, whatever, it's what's bringing you joy in this moment and like what makes you feel good and not like binge drinking good, like what makes you feel good, like body, mind, soul, spirit, like all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, but not being so focused on an end result and actually enjoying the journey of it because that is what takes up the most time. Make it enjoyable, we do is very repetitive, but like find ways to actually enjoy it and be grateful for it.
Yeah, because I heard something else. I just hear all this shit all day. But somebody didn't wake up this morning and you did. So if that's all you can be grateful for, by God, be grateful for that. I get very tired of people that are just so ho hum, like woe is me all the time. When you're like, dude, you have no clue what I'm going through in my life. You don't know clue what Sarah's going through in her life. Like, just be grateful that you're here and go do your shit.
Yep.
But, well,
Yep.
that
Yep.
took a
Yep.
turn.
So good. But yeah, no, I mean, like through the process, I guess to like drive it home, right? Like do your best to not numb out things that like if you are in that push season or that push phase and you're going through something with your blinders on, like also be grateful for that in the moment too. That kind of goes back to our Olympia recap episode where we talked about like don't numb out the bad or the good, like feel it all.
Yeah, I completely forgot he said that. But it's so true. And I feel like the conversation that me and you just had about how I'm feeling too, because I can feel myself numbing out in this season of life as well. um, have a conversation with somebody that's really close to you and just like word vomit if you need to and like let them ground you a little bit to pull you out of that numbness because it can be really hard when it's just you and your brain 24/7. So
Get a therapist.
get a therapist or I mean, are you gonna send me an invoice now? Because I can't do that.
Don't get a Sarah Buzzin. I'm taking up.
She's mine. But all right, anything else?
We're good.
All right. Well, you guys are going to see this after Easter, but we hope that you have a great Easter and happy April. And we will talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.